What's up guys, it's Freddy's here once again, and yes, we got another item to review for today. And if this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to click the subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you'll be updated whenever we have a new video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and review this item right here, right now. But before we do that, don't forget to take it easy. Let's go! Yeah. Alright guys, so we are going to review none other than this little guy right over here. This is the DJI Mini 2 SE. So how good this drone is, let's go and find that out. Alright, so this is not a setup or a tutorial on how you're gonna fly this drone, but if you want to do that and want to learn more about it, I have a separate video for that, which I'm going to post a link in the description down below or somewhere over here on top, okay? Yeah, this is a budget friendly one. Durability wise, this is all plastic. There are some metal parts to it. I'm not even sure if this is metal or aluminum right over here. This part right over here is the motor, which is somewhat aluminum. Aside from that, except for the internal parts where there are electronic components, of course, these are all made of plastic. And of course, you should handle this with care. If you're gonna crash this drone, you're definitely gonna break the arms. It depends on how you're gonna crash it. If you're gonna crash it on the nose, you're gonna break the nose. This is not durable at all, so you should definitely handle this with care. Most especially this gimbal right over here. Alright, this is not durable at all. Very sensitive and very sensitive to movements as well, because that's the purpose of the gimbal, to be sensitive with the movement so that you can have a smooth video with this drone. I'll go ahead and include a sample of my shots with this drone on different conditions, okay? And as for the battery, it's all plastic as well right over here. I've tested this battery. It depends on the situation as well, or the wind condition, but I get a flight time of up to 28 minutes. I think it's pretty accurate, but if you're gonna fly into high wind resistance situation, or let's say wind level 5, it's probably gonna give you like 18 minutes or 20 minutes. So it depends again, and depending on what mode you're using, of course, as well. You have the sports mode, you have the cine mode, and you have the normal mode. So it depends on those situations. Alright, so if you're gonna look inside, yeah, it's all plastic even inside, right? So except for the components part. So this is not very durable at all, but again, it can withstand its purpose. This is all made of plastic. But again, that's not a downside, because this is the best budget drone that I think is worth your money right now if you're in a tight budget. And yeah, you have some 2 sensors right over here as well, which is good for landing and for crashing as well. If it's gonna crash down, I have a sample of that. I'm gonna show that to you. Alright, I was shocked as well. My fiance accidentally dropped it. I was shocked and I was afraid at the same time, but the drone survived it because of these sensors at the bottom right over here.
Okay, bitaw.
Uy! I think it's 90% plastic, that's what I can say. But the weight is just 249 grams. I have a weighing scale right over here. So let's start from 0, 0, and I'm gonna put this drone right over here probably so you guys can see it. Oh, it's actually just 240. So surprisingly, I don't know if it's my drone or is the weighing scale, but it's 240, so 249, so somewhat reliable, I guess. All right, and now let's move on to this controller right over here, which is the RCN1. I'm gonna tell you what are the issues that I've had with this drone as well. Make sure to watch this video up until the end, okay? For the remote control itself, this weighs about, so it's just 387.1 with the remote control only. I'm using this Nova 2i, which is pretty old already, just to show you that an old phone would actually work with this drone. Alright, as long as it's Android 10 and above. This is the RCN1, which is pretty easy to set up. So you have here your play capture buttons. It's just a button, and then you have here the switch camera. Definitely you're gonna use this to switch from taking pictures and from shooting videos. This control knob right over here or lever is for the tilt up and down of your camera or gimbal. So this is the micro USB to Type C. So it goes right in there. Alright, it's pretty easy to set up. It's not a tutorial, but I have separate videos for that, so I'm not gonna go through it. This is all made of plastic as well, except for this part. I think this is stainless steel. Alright, right over here. And then the rest is all plastic, except for this knobs right over here, control knobs, which I think is aluminum or light metal or something. Then the rest is just plastic and rubber. This is rubber right over here, or rubber finish at least, and then rubber right over here for your control knobs. So this is where it goes to, right over here. There you go. So insert right over there and put it right like that. So they say this range up to 10 kilometers, but I haven't tested it that much. What I've tested is 1 kilometer, alright, and I'm experiencing some interference already, so I did not proceed with it, but it was on a busy beach or something, so that's probably the reason why. So I haven't tested it to the max because I'm too afraid to do so, right? But there are some other tests who have tested it as well, so you might want to check their videos. So for the remote control, this is what I'm talking about. You have the Cine mode, you have the normal mode, and then you have the sports mode right over here. You can actually play around with it, but yeah, Cine mode is for those smooth cinematic looking footages. Normal is a lot faster than Cine mode, and sports is the fastest one when it comes to flight time and everything, but you can actually configure it. Alright, so let's put this into the test. So let's see how fast this drone and this controller would connect. So all you have to do is short press and then long press. Okay, and then this one too. There you go. So I'm gonna put a timer right over here somewhere for us to check how fast would it be, and then let's go ahead and do this with this transfer file thingy. There you go. Okay, so that's pretty fast. I think it's not even a minute or so. I'm gonna show you the gimbal that I'm talking about. So it's gonna be stable at all times. So let's say if you're gonna go sideways, or you're gonna go the other side, if you're gonna go up a little bit, if you're gonna go down a little bit, so it's just gonna stay the same, so that you will have that smooth like footage. But there is only one thing that is a downside to this drone. Again, I'm gonna tell you right here, right now, while I still have it on my mind. For example, you experience those jittering footage. This is basically what's happening. So if you're gonna pull it backwards, there's definitely no other thing that's gonna block the drone. But if you're gonna push it forward, then this is how a drone would usually do. So for example, if the drone tilted a little bit like this, then your camera would see this part right over here, which is what's gonna happen is, as it was programmed like that, the camera itself is gonna tilt down. So it's gonna give you a jittering effect of some sort, but that's definitely what's happening. So it's not an issue or whatnot, it's just like a feature of this drone, so that you will not see this part or this nose right over here. And as you can see, that's the reason why the Mini 3 have a different looking model, which have a notch right here somewhere, so that it's not gonna block that camera of some sort. So for the camera itself and the controls itself, I really don't have an issue. It's very smooth when it comes to maneuvering it, but you can actually smoothen it even better by going through this part right over here. Go to the control, alright, and then you can go here to gain and expo tuning. So there you go. My max angular for normal is just 60, and then 35. You can play around with it so that you can find the right setting for your drone. So I have here an RTH, auto RTH, so return to home. So basically, make sure to have it activated and set up the meters on how high it is, depending on how high the obstacles on your surroundings are. If you are on tall buildings, then make sure to have it set higher than the trees or the buildings all around you. And update home point, make sure that your home point is updated before flying it far away from you. And flight protection, my maximum altitude is 120 because that is how the laws or drone laws here in the Philippines are. And as for the max distance, it's 2,000 meters or 2 kilometers. And then compass calibration, MUI normal, unlock geozone. I don't really play around this much. We can access it because I'm not logged into this phone. Find my drone, it also have that feature, which is very nice. I don't want you to lose your drone or you lose your drone, so make sure to set that auto RTH, so it's gonna return to you whenever you lost signal with it. So there you go. Battery info is also right over here. And as for this battery that I'm using, I have 23 cycle counts for this battery. And as for control, you have here the units. You can change it from metric, kilometers, imperial. Gain expo, I've already told you about this. Is basically smoothing the footage, or how this controls works, how fast it is, how smooth it is. So basically with the gimbal mode, the camera of your drone is gonna follow. Unlike this one, it stays horizontally, right? So, but with the FPV mode, the camera is just gonna follow with the movements of the drone. Basically, that's how it goes. And then allow upward gimbal rotation, gimbal calibration in case it's not centered or it's leaning toward the other side. Make sure to do the gimbal calibration. And stick mode 2, basically this is sticks right over here. You can change it, but I'm using the default only because that's what I'm used to, because I might handle some other drones which have the same general control for drones. It's always good for you to practice with the general drone configuration or stick mode configuration, so I don't change it as well. And then button customization, you can actually change it, but again, I stay with the basics. And then RC calibration, basically you do this if you're experiencing some issues with your RC right over here. And then flight tutorial, I strongly suggest that you go to this flight tutorial thing so that you would know more before flying your drone, okay? And then as for the camera, you have the video subtitles and then histogram. Yeah, might as well have it activated so that you will know if the footage is overexposed. If you don't care about that much, then you can just turn it off. And then exposure warning. So basically what exposure warning is on your footage, for example, on this footage right over here, if you're looking at overexposed thing, like for example, that light over here, which is overexposed, so you will have those line marks right over there, which is a good feature if you don't want overexposed footages. And then grid line, you have an X grid line, you have the traditional grid line or a dot grid line, or you can have them all activated at the same time. There you go, that's it how it looked like, which is what I do so that I have a guide for the angles of my shots. And then frame guide, oh, this is something new. So we have a frame guide. I think they just recently added this because I wasn't able to do this before, but let's see how this frame guide works. You have the widescreen, you have the mobile, you have the film, and then HD TV, old TV, square, vertical, 916 vertical. Let's see how it looks like. There you go. So that's the vertical guide right over there. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, that's basically it. This guide right over there for vertical videos, which was not available before. Vertical videos, let me just turn that off for the meantime. I don't usually do that. I can actually do that post, because basically what's happening here is with this guide, you're just doing like the crop version of the footage that you have, which is landscape. Unlike with the Mini 3 Pro, you actually turn the camera on landscape or portrait mode. So that's a different thing when it comes to Mini 2 SE. And then white balance, you have the auto white balance, you have the manual balance, which depends on you, but I usually go on auto depending on the situation. And then format, you can format the SD card, which actually I already have 4.22 gigabytes. And then auto sync HD photos, yes, cache when recording, yes, I have it on, but you can turn it off. I usually have it on so that I can view, basically I can view the footages after on a much lower detail, which is usually 720p. And then as for the photos, it goes directly to your mobile phone, so I just have it turned on. And then max video cache, you have choices: 2 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes. Reset camera parameters. Why would you reset it if you already set it up? But just in case you want to do, go ahead and reset it. And as for transmission, there you go. So we have a live stream platform right over here. You can actually allow to live stream RTMP. So there's a lot of guides on how you can set it up. You just go ahead and search it on YouTube, how to set up drones or RTMP for live streaming. And then as for the frequency, you have the 2.4 gigahertz, you have the 5.8 gigahertz, and you have the dual band for both. This channel mode right over here will guide you through. For example, I'm on auto, I'm gonna check manual, and I'm just gonna choose between the two, which is at 2.5 or 2.4 gigahertz. This is the graph that I'm showing, which is low interference. And then if I'm gonna go 5.8 gigahertz, you see that those are high interference. Let's say that you're getting disconnected from time to time, then just switch from 2.4 gig to 5.8 gigahertz. Yeah, basically transmission is for the connection of your RCN1 or your remote control to your DJI Mini SE. Alright guys, so now let's go ahead and go to the about section of this DJI Mini 2 SE. Alright, so as you can see, the name is DJI Mini 2 SE, model is DJI Mini 2 SE, and app version is 1.12.3. Although on the phone that I'm using, I think it's 1.10. I'm still using the default firmware that it came with, and I'm gonna tell you why in a few moments. And as for the aircraft firmware, as you can see, still at 1.0.360. Alright, I haven't updated it. RC firmware is still the same. I haven't updated it as well. And then API statistics safe data is still at default, so I haven't updated it as well for fly safe data, but it depends on you if you want to update it or not. Okay, and then as for the battery SN, aircraft SN, flight control SN, serial number, these are serial numbers which I would not show you, of course. Make sure to keep your serial number privately for you, except if you're gonna sell it, because others might use it or scammers might use it to scam somebody. Okay, so make sure that you keep those serial numbers safe and only give it to those people where you're gonna sell it. Even the camera have a serial number as well. Then you have the reset all settings and clear data settings. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the feature that we have. So first of all, I want you to go ahead and check this out first. There you go, it says there, unable to take up no GPS. Because we don't actually have any GPS, we are indoors. It's not gonna make your drone fly when there's a label like this, but you actually can do it if you really want to do it indoors, which is an advanced feature already. But I don't advise it. Alright, I don't advise it that you use it. I'm not quite sure if this is the one that caused issues in the past, but there's a workaround to it. You can just go ahead and check on unlock if you want to unlock this feature, and make sure that you're logged in as well. But I'm not gonna do it right now. This is not a tutorial, this is a review. Okay, and then yeah, make sure to check this. Push right over here. Make sure to monitor your battery rate over here. This is your calculated distance on whether if your drones can come back or not. And then here is your RC signal, which is very strong because my drone is just right over there. Here is your GPS, which we don't have right now because we're indoors, so it's not gonna fly. And then you have here your button for fly, alright, which is not gonna happen right now. And then the histogram right over there. The map is right over here. Just click on it and it's gonna show you a bigger map, basically where your location is or where the drone is. And then you can just go ahead and tap this part. It's gonna show you the restricted zone, altitude zone, authorization zone, enhanced warning zone. So those are color coded already. Okay, now this feature right over here, you can just go ahead and tap on this one right over here. So basically this is the orientation of your RCN1 or your remote control. I usually do it this way, changing, right? So if my drone is tilted this way, it's gonna show as well, or the pitch. So that's the good thing about that feature of the map right over here, which is pretty important for me and I bet for you as well. So you have here the height and you have here the distance of your drone. And then on the other side, so this is the zoom, right? There you go. And then here are the features. You just click on it. Let's just go with the photo first. Yeah, let's go ahead and take some pictures. So we have here the 5-second time picture. So let me click on it. Alright, after 5 seconds. There you go. It took another picture. The only downside for me is when you click on it, it starts taking pictures. It could have counted first before it takes pictures, but that's just very minimal though, right? A software update could probably fix it. You have 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and 30 seconds, up to 60 seconds. Now let's go for AEB. So this is how it goes. Oh, it's like a gun, right? One more time. Let's take another one. 3 shots very fast. That's AEB. And then let's go for the single shot, which is just single, of course. So basically it's gonna take pictures right away. For the video part, it's just as it is, the usual video, which is the only video I can take right now is up and down because we're not flying, right? We cannot use any other controls right over here. Okay, and then as for the quick shots, I'm gonna show you samples of the quick shots and I'm just gonna label it, alright, so that you guys get to know what it is. Now let's go ahead and go to this part right over here. We can go auto if you want to, which is what most people does, right? But if you want to take it to the next level, then you can go pro. There you go. And for the pro, this is what you have. Just tap on this items right over here. So for the ISO, you can go as high as 3200 and as low as 100 for the ISO. And then for the shutter, you can go as high as 1/30 and then as low as 1/8000. And right over here, you can go for white balance, which is set up on auto right now, but you can go on manual as well, so you can change it depending on your preference. And then for the resolution, you have the highest at 2.7K, and then you have 30 FPS, 25 FPS, and 24 FPS. And for the 1080p, you can go at 24 FPS, 25 FPS, 30 FPS, 48 FPS, 50 FPS, and 60 FPS as the highest one. And then here you go, as the SD card is at 39.48. I only have a 64GB card. Okay, so basically that's what we have. Alright, so basically what I've experienced is during my first flight, I didn't have any issues out of the box. There's no issue at all. Before it was given to me, it was updated to the latest software. I just didn't know what was the version. We can probably check it on the video that I have taken during that issue. So basically I have updated the RCN one. I updated the drone to that version, and then all of a sudden I can change the speed of my drone. No matter what mode I switch it to, cine mode, normal mode, it's just stuck on sports mode. That's the issue that I've had. I've contacted DJI about it. They're more than willing to replace my drone, more than willing to replace my controller, but it's gonna take time, like months, most especially here in the Philippines. We don't have a local technical support yet here in the Philippines. We have to ship it to Hong Kong, I guess, to have it fixed, which is gonna take like 2 to 3 months or 1 to 3 months. I really forgot the details about it already. So I ended up figuring it out on my own. So what I figure out is to revert the software back, or the firmware back. So before doing any updates, if you want to do the update, most especially if the update is for your model, let's say Mini 3, all right, then go ahead and take a screenshot of the firmware of your controller and the firmware of your drone, which is usually right over here, about, on the about section. All of it, RC firmware, aircraft firmware, up version firmware. Make sure to take note of that, all of that, so that if ever encounter some issues, you would know where to go back to, which is pretty technical. So it's gonna take like a very long time if we're gonna include it on this video. But just go ahead and comment down below if you want me to create a video about that. And then after that, all of a sudden my drone starts working perfectly again. So that was the experience that I've had, and then ever since then I did not update my RCN1 and my drone as well. So I guess that's a best practice that I would suggest to you guys. If your drone doesn't have any issues, and if you really don't need to update your firmware for your controller and for your drone, then just don't do it. But if you wanna do it, most especially if the update is for the model of your drone, then go ahead and do it. Again, just make sure to take note of the default firmware that you guys had. And if this video was helpful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Share this video to your friends, family, or just anyone who's interested on this DJI Mini 2 SE drone. And if you have any questions, suggestions, go ahead and comment it down below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel so that you'll be updated whenever we have a new video. This is Fred once again. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out to everyone. Keep safe to all of you. And once again, don't forget to take it easy. I'll see you in another video. Yeah.